Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's the Level 1 podcast for Tuesday, the 13th of February, 2024. I'm DSP, and of course, I welcome you here to the show. Today is RPG Day. What I mean by that is today, all day long, I'm playing RPGs again. It just seems like these days, there's always an insane amount of RPGs out, and today is no exception. We have to really focus and hone in on the ones that I'm playing to make massive progress before the next one comes out. I know, it's true. There's another RPG coming out at the end of the month in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And so we really have to make maximum progress in the ones we're already playing before that one comes out. So, RPG Day all day with gameplay. But on today's podcast, we have two topics to discuss. First, what I thought about Yoshimitsu yesterday in Tekken 8 and my plans moving forward for the game. But also, PalWorld. Because last night, I played PalWorld, and I'll be honest with you, it felt like I finally hit the wall, and it was a different experience than the previous streams of PalWorld that I have done. And it's not good when the whole idea of this stream is supposed to be, it's late night chill with the viewers, and I go to the viewers, and the viewers are disengaged, not paying attention, bored, and essentially saying, what's next? Why is he still playing this? So we'll talk about that, because I would like to kind of give you, now that I played PalWorld for about a month, I'd like to give you my overall thoughts on the game, and basically tell you, kind of my final thoughts on the game, because it looks like, as of now, I really don't have any further plans to play it again. So we'll talk about those two topics. Outside of that, I really wish there was, interesting game news to talk about these days, but instead, I open up the news feeds and you get a whole bunch of people arguing about politics again. People saying that the new Marvel movie sucks again. It's like the same news cycle every day, and none of it's good. None of it is stuff worth talking about on the show. I am seriously hoping this soon we're going to get some good, interesting game news out of somewhere. Because right now, it's kind of stagnant, I'll be honest. I mean, we really haven't had much at all. Now, remember, this coming Thursday is supposed to be the big Microsoft business update that they're going to talk about on their Xbox podcast, where Phil Spencer will be there to discuss the future of Xbox gaming and dispel rumors that have been all around the last week and a half about, it looks like they're not even going to sell Xboxes anymore, which, by the way, he already dispelled that rumor internally. He did an internal memo to the company and says, no, we're not going to stop selling Xboxes. They don't know what they're talking about. Don't worry, I'll clear all this up later on. So, yes, I am interested in that, but outside of that, there is nothing else going on right now in the realm of gaming. So, today we'll talk about what I've been doing, what I did yesterday, talk about the schedule for the week, and again, in this case, we'll have a little bit of chill, open Q&A. You guys will be able to talk with me and ask me questions, and we'll go from there and see how long we want to do it. If we get, bored of that, we can just go right into Baldur's Gate a little bit early, because today we're doing this Char's Gauntlet challenge or whatever it's called. And I don't know, I'm getting big conflicting messages about this. Some people are saying, oh, this Char's Gauntlet is one of the worst parts of the game. It's like 6 hours long. It's super annoying and boring, and everyone hates it. And then others are like, oh, no, it's not that big of a deal. There's maybe like 3 puzzles, and you're already in the middle of the first one. And one of them has a lot of combat, so it's not that bad, and you should be done with it on this stream. And I'm like, how could you have 2 completely differing descriptions and opinions on the same gameplay element? It's like, doesn't even make sense. How could it be both? I don't know how it could possibly be both. It sounds like 2 completely different things, right? Anyway, I guess we'll see how it goes. All right, so let's jump right into yesterday's gameplay festivities, shall we? So yesterday, I started off the day with Tekken 8, trying out Yoshimitsu for the very first time. And I'll tell you this, like, I am pleased, very pleased, with how I'm doing in this game for the fact that you guys got to understand something. I haven't really played modern Tekken in any competitive capacity at all. When the last 2 Tekken games came out, I bought them. I played them for a limited time, you know, on YouTube a bit, just to go through, like, their stories. And I messed around with a few characters in a limited capacity, went online, flubbed around for a few weeks, and then quit them. You know, I particularly remember in Tekken 7. Back then, I wasn't seriously committed to getting better at these games. So I would just flub it for myself and learn what I could learn, and after a while, that was it. I even remember at Tekken 7, I was using Lily, and I got to a point where basically every time I played, people would be able to defend against everything I did and to just, like, you know, slam me, counter hit me, and that was it. And I was like, well, the only way I'm going to get better at this game is, number one, to learn the more advanced mechanics of the gameplay engine. I'm going to have to utilize sidesteps. I'm going to have to utilize just frames and parries and things like that. And I just wasn't willing to do that. Like, I outright remember telling you guys, the fact that people don't really come to my channels to watch fighting games anymore, it didn't warrant that level of investment in the game, because I didn't think anyone really cared that much. And honestly, yeah, after about 2 weeks of me playing Tekken 7, the intention had already dried up. You know, when I was playing it, people weren't really showing up or caring that much about it anymore. They were saying, what's the next game? So I particularly remember saying that to my audience, that, man, I know I could get better at this game, but it would take investment and work, and it doesn't seem like, me being a variety streamer, that this makes sense for me to put my time into it, and that's when I retired it. And the funny part about that was, every once in a while, someone would bring it up and say, will you play Tekken again? Will you play Tekken again? But it wasn't that often. And then I ended up playing more retro Street Fighter and stuff like that, because remember, this was the era of Street Fighter V, which I hated and never wanted to play. So I would always balance in retro fighters and things like that over the years. And then when Street Fighter 6 came out, I changed my attitude. I said, you know what? I'm going to give it an honest shot. I'm going to put a lot more time into this and see if it's worth my time. And in truth, I loved it, right? In truth, I really love Street Fighter 6. I like that they redesigned the game from the ground up. They made it way more complex. The online connectivity, best in any fighting game I'd ever seen up to that point. You know, all the new systems, the variety of the cast. The cast played very differently, unlike Street Fighter 5, where everyone was almost the same character playing a pattern. In Street Fighter 6, everyone played a little differently, which was nice. Of course, now, 8 months in, it's a little different. But, you know, we're talking about when the game first came out. And at that point, you know, seeing that I liked the game, especially through the beta. Remember, I got into the beta, which really was a selling point. Like, maybe if I hadn't gotten into the beta, I wouldn't have been into it as much. But I really liked the beta. It was very promising. And I told you guys I was going to commit to playing a lot of it when it came out, which I did. I got good at it. And within the 8 months I played it, you know, tons of people loved it, supported it, wanted me to play more of it, actually. Took 4 characters to master, literally had Zangief on the path to master, but didn't have time to do it. And overall had a great time. Now, admittedly, by the end of my time in Street Fighter 6, I was frustrated. Because once you hit the meta of the game, and you have the established top tiers and established top tier gameplay, it's very frustrating to break out of that mold. You know, every time I played it online, it was almost the same exact characters playing exactly the same way, almost uncounterable with the online play the way it is, with the netcode the way it is. And, you know, I don't like playing those top tier rushdown characters. I like more of the oddball characters, and it was hard to hang with those characters. So I really like Street Fighter 6. But after 8 months, it needed a break, and definitely wasn't really having much fun playing it anymore, because it felt like it hit the limit of what you could do unless you were going to be a pro player, right? Like, unless I was going to commit to playing 5 hours a day and traveling for tournaments and all that, I was never going to really get better, and I didn't really care to. So now with Tekken 8, my approach is very different. Having taken Street Fighter 6 way more seriously, studying videos, right? Watching matchups, combos, investing the time into the game to learn the systems, I said, you know what? I wonder how it would be if I do that with Tekken 8. And if you haven't noticed, Tekken 8's been out for about 2.5 weeks. I'm doing way better in Tekken than I ever have before. The first time I'm touching Yoshimitsu, I've literally not used this character in the game yet, and I was doing, I won 28 matches, lost 20, but I won more than I lost, and I had some really good matches against people that were ranked above me, close ones. I think one person I beat, most of them did beat me, but one person I didn't even beat. And it's like, how did that happen? Literally, this would be like walking to an arcade back in the day, having never touched a character, and just pick the character and you just go on a big, you know, oh, you're kicking everyone's butt in the arcade. How? How could you do that? Because things are different now. You know, I have that foundation from playing Street Fighter 6 for 8 months, and now you can go on YouTube and you can study and learn stuff. And the thing is, again, my mind, I'm in that mindset of picking up stuff in fighting games more quickly now, and I really am. I actually feel like right now, probably the second best I've ever been at fighting games. The best was in the mid-2000s when I was great at Super Turbo, and I was also traveling and playing Third Strike and games like that at a high level. But right now, probably the second best I've ever been. I know that's crazy because you think, what do you mean? You're not even like playing in tournaments or anything. You're right. But this is, I'm investing time. I'm studying, because now you can study. You couldn't study fighting games in the 2000s. Now you have YouTube. Now you can study endlessly, right? But for me, it's cool because I'm also getting that execution half down. I mean, within the first day, I'm getting the Yoshimitsu combo. I'm learning his counter hits. I'm learning his punishes. I'm trying to learn what to do in certain situations. I'm mixing up with throws. I'm doing the stance changes. It's my first time playing with him. And I'm doing all of this, right? Now, before you say, oh, that's so impressive or whatever, in reality, it's just because I used to play fighting games competitively for so long, I just kind of have that mindset. I'm not going to sit here and take tons of praise and credit like I'm some good player at Tekken. I'm not a good Tekken player. I'm really not. It's just having that sponge-like brain mentality that I can absorb a lot of knowledge about a game like a fighting game really fast and usually apply it quickly. For me, the difficulties are the nuances. So, you know, I can learn the basics of Yoshimitsu in a day and play at a decent level with him. My problem is now learning all the nuances. In what situations can Yoshimitsu punish a character? In what situations do you want to go for this level of damage versus this level of damage? When do you try to throw mix-up, or when do you do a high-low mix-up? When do I want to do the stance changes? Are there certain characters that are just better than Yoshimitsu in certain situations because their moves are faster or better or higher priority? Stuff like that. Situational knowledge is what I need to gain next. But man, I was actually happy with how it went yesterday. I thought I was going to get bodied because unlike Paul and King, who I've played in previous Tekken games, and unlike Jun, who's known to be a top-tier character in Tekken 8, this is a character that's more difficult to play, and I actually had a great time with it. So I'm excited to play more. But anyway, yesterday went well. Listen, did I get bodied? Of course I did. I think someone triple perfected me. I don't care, especially because I think it was an Alyssa player, and Alyssa literally doesn't play anything like Tekken. All her moves are just bullshit spam that just stuff everything you do, and unless you know exactly how to counter her, she could just instantly just steamroll you, which they did like 3 times. Like, she has a move where she hands you her head. How the fuck do I stop that? I don't know. It's faster than a throw. It's not techable. What am I supposed to do? She just does it 100 times. Like, what the fuck is this stupid shit? You know? So, anyway, like, I had a good time regardless of the nonsense that happened. And I feel like I was getting way better, and then I ran out of time, right? That's what always happens. You're on a roll, you're starting to get better, you're learning, you're adapting. Oh, I'm out of time. Every time with a fighting game, this happens to me. So, had a really good time with Yoshimitsu. I will continue to play with this character later in the week. I'm excited for what the future holds for him. I think that he's probably pretty versatile. Again, I'm not even using half his stuff. He has so many moves that you can ignore half the moveset and play at a good level. You know? He's that crazy of a character. So, looking forward to more of that later in the week. Last night, we played PalWorld, likely for the last time. Alright, so PalWorld, let's now discuss it from start to finish, because I've played it for 11 hours, and I have a good amount of stuff to say about it. First of all, PalWorld, I never planned on playing. All right? I had heard about it that, there was going to be a Pokemon knockoff game. That's all anyone said. It was going to be a Pokemon knockoff game that looked like it was going to do things better than Pokemon. I remember it, 2 years ago, people talking about it and saying stuff that, this game's going to be, a litigation nightmare because they're literally using Pokemon from Pokemon, but it looks like the game is better than Pokemon. Okay? So, I had no plans at all to touch it or play it, and then all of a sudden, it comes out. It's a Game Pass game, by the way. And people are saying, it's great. It's so good. It's like guilty pleasure good because you feel bad playing it because you know that they ripped off Pokemon. But man, it does it better than Pokemon. It's a must play. You must experience it. Millions of people start buying this game in droves. It's hitting record number of players on Steam. So within 2 days of it coming out, people are like, hey, excuse me, will you play it? And I'm like, I guess so. Why not? It's Game Pass. So because it's a Game Pass game, I have no risk in trying it. Let's just give it a shot. So we tried it for a 3-hour stream, and immediately I was immersed in this unique world that felt like a bunch of other games that I had played before. So first of all, right off the bat, there's so much that's like Minecraft. You're mining and or gathering resources, which you then use to craft things to survive, like houses, sites where you can endlessly mine or chop down wood. You can cook food, that kind of stuff. But then, not only does it have that survival element similar to like Don't Starve, because you always want to have enough food so you're not starving and stuff like that, but also it has an element of Pokemon because of all the pals in the environment. And you run around, you can either fight them, you can catch them. If you catch them, they become your pals, and then you can train them, but also you can assign them to your camp to do tasks. So not only are the Pokemon essentially your fighting characters that you train up for competition, but you're also using them to run your entire base and get self-sustaining with things like food, resources, etc. And then throughout that setup process, the game feels like one whole game. But then, eventually, after several hours of doing that initial setup process, you realize there's way more to the game. First of all, there's a giant open world that you can explore. First, you're exploring it on foot, and it feels like you're playing Zelda Breath of the Wild with a lot of the climbing and parkour mechanics. But then eventually you get the ability to catch better pals and craft saddles for them, in which case now you can ride them out. Or you could ride a flying one, or you could ride one in the water. And that opens the game up a ton, because now you can use your pals for combat while riding them, and now it feels like an action game. Versus before, it was like a crappy, slow survival game. Now it actually feels like the game's opened up to be a more interesting action game. And then, of course, you start realizing, it's not just about open world traversal and capturing pals and leveling up your base, but also there's other elements. There's camps of enemy troops that you can fight. There's dungeons that you can enter with special pals and boss fights inside and rare items. There's boss towers in the environment where you can climb a tower and fight a special boss fight with a trainer and a pal that advances, in a major way that either the game or your resources or whatever it may be. And then there's also localized boss fights open in the open world that are big pals with giant energy bars, right? So this game has a lot to it. For a game that's in early access, it's not even fully released. It's pretty well fleshed out for the content that's in there. And so every time that I played it, I kind of felt like the new focus. So the first day was just getting my bearings on how to play it and get a base set up. The second stream was, getting the base more streamlined, getting resources that auto-generate. And then like the third stream was like, now we got to capture pals, level up more, start crafting good things for my character like weapons and armor, and eventually have a pal I can ride, so traversal's a lot more easy. And then the next time, let's go into our first dungeon, right? Let's explore the dungeon. Let's take out the enemies, kill our first boss, try to level up a little more. And then after that, it was, open world exploration. Let's find better pals. Let's recruit them and level them up and prepare for the boss fight. Then it was, let's take on that first boss. Let's do that next daunting challenge, right? And basically the game has been fun until last night. Last night, I was basically facing hours 10 and 11 of the game. At this point, I'm far past the basics of the game. I have a self-sufficient camp, all right? Now, not to say that I've done everything in the game. I was just getting to the point where you could craft the guns. I had already crafted melee weapons and bow and arrow and crossbow, But now we were getting to the point where you could actually use guns as weapons, which is one of the big things that people were freaking out about this game. It's Pokemon with guns, right? And so finally I got to that point. But by the time you get to that point, you realize you've kind of already seen everything. Like, once you reach a certain point in the game, you've hit the loop of what the game's going to be. And after you've seen the extent of what the game has to offer, you're like, okay, so now it's just more of the same. And that's what I felt like last night. Like, every stream before then, when I played PalWorld, I felt like I was unlocking something new, doing something unique and different that I hadn't done before. Last night, I was like, okay, so what do I do? Well, I got to level up more. How do you level up? Catching pals. So we got to level up. So we went out and caught a whole bunch of new pals or whatever. Leveled up. Okay, build the new item the game wants you to build so you can level up your base to the next level. Okay, so I crafted these beds or whatever they were. I think first it was a weapons bench. Then it was a couple, like, pal beds for them to sleep on. So I did all that. And I'm like, so what's next? Oh, finally you can make the weapons. But to do that, now you need more resources. All right, so I go out into the open world. I'm mining the resources that I need. I'm catching more pals. I happen to go into some new areas I hadn't been in before. And these areas were much more challenging. Like, the pals were more aggroed to you. They would come, like, right after you. And they would actually kick your ass really fast. So I did die quite a few times last night. I think I died, like, 3 or more times. And then, you know, basically I was like, so what do I do next? Well, I can endlessly gain or mine these materials for crafting. I can endlessly catch pals to level up. I can endlessly just build the new thing required for the next level of my base. Wash, rinse, repeat. Yes, there's dungeons, but they're just caves or instances where you fight a bunch of pals, get some items, and fight a boss. And you get to the boss towers, which I've already seen. All you just go inside, there's a big boss fight against a trainer. That's literally the game. Like, that's it. There's nothing left. And I was realizing, so all that's going to happen is the pals are going to get bigger and tougher, so I need better weapons and armor, but it's always going to be the same. Like, nothing's going to change about this. Maybe the one thing would have been if I had a mount or like a way to ride one of the flying pals, and I could actually just fly around the whole map and maybe see everything. That might have been like the one big thing kind of left to do in the game. But outside of that, I mean, what else was there to do? Literally nothing. Now, PalWorld is meant to be a cooperative experience, meaning what you really want to do is create a world that's shared and have other people join you. And I think that if you do it as a shared world experience, it probably would be a little better. Because think of it this way. Let's say you're playing with 3 friends. So you're going to be catching pals. They're going to be gathering resources, taking on some dungeons for rare items. And so you all do your thing, right? So maybe if you want to take on a tougher dungeon, 2 of you go into the dungeon together and take it on together while the other 2 are off doing other things. And then eventually you keep reconvening, you keep dumping your resources together, and you get that big leveling. It feels like a community working together to survive, right? I feel like maybe that, as a social experience, the game probably has some longevity. I could definitely see a group of friends teaming up to play this game in the long term, and maybe even doing their own community, their own YouTube channel where they build that community, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I could totally see that happen and be good. But basically, after having played the game for 10 hours, solo, I think I've seen everything that I want to see. I mean, I'm sure there's some big boss fights near the end. There's probably some giant pals to fight with, you know, you imagine getting a Gatling gun, and you're riding like a fast horse or a bull, and you're riding around just shooting the pals, right? Or you're swooping in on a bird, and you're dropping bombs on stuff or whatever. Okay, cool. But at the same time, are you really doing anything different? No, you're just using guns to do it, but you're still doing exactly the same thing, right? So, for me, after having seen this gameplay loop, and again, it's Minecraft or Don't Starve kind of combined. It's definitely got elements of Breath of the Wild with its traversal. It's definitely got huge Pokemon rip-off elements, because yes, the pals are definitely rip-off Pokemon, and the only difference is it's not turn-based. You know, like Pokemon is being a turn-based combat game, this is active combat, it's action. It's not turn-based, boring style RPG, you know what I mean? So, after 11 hours, we all disengaged with it. It wasn't just you or me. Like, last night, I could tell we were all kind of bored with it. And I said to everyone, the real reason why I thought that PalWorld could work in the long term was not going to be the game. It was going to be the chill vibes and atmosphere of it. So, for example, when I used to play Minecraft, okay? I used to play Minecraft once a week, and I did that for like a year and a half. So I had like 60, 70 installments of this game, okay? And the reason that really worked is because every week people came back to hang out. They would talk with me about anything while I played Minecraft. It could be pop culture. It could be video games. It could be just what's going on each other's lives. You know, timely stuff for the holidays. All kinds of stuff like that, right? And I would build things every week based on what people wanted. And I had some help from Mr. Papavera. If you remember, he used to come into the game world and help me with building portals and all kinds of shortcuts and things, which is really awesome. And it was a really good time, but really, it wasn't necessarily the Minecraft world that was the successful focus. It was the social experience we had together. And so when I started playing PalWorld, I said, sure, initially, this game's going to be engaging because we're going to be seeing all these new elements for the first time. And you're going to be excited for that. Every time you see a new element, it's more interesting. But once we kind of see it all, it's going to be more about reliant on the community being fun and wanting to talk and hang out, right? Rather than the game. And I knew that because I knew with Minecraft at one point I hit kind of the wall of what you could do or see in it. And it was more about what you wanted to see me build while we talked or hung out doing it, correct? So for me, I knew from the get-go that's what would work. And last night, within 10 hours, we had already hit that point where like we had seen everything that was interesting in the game, and that's it. What a short gameplay loop. Only 10 hours to see it all. Especially for a survival game. That's not a lot, you know what I mean? And we were, like I said, the chat, sadly, was very disengaged. But for a half an hour, everyone was interested. And all of a sudden then, people stopped talking to me. They're either going off having their own conversations, or the chat was very slow, not much going on. And that's a horrible sign. It basically means people got bored. Now, I don't want to be bored playing a game on a stream. That's the opposite of the point of me doing it, right? I'm here to hang out with you guys and have a good time while we're entertained by a video game. That's the point. So why am I playing this then, right? And that's basically what happened is by the end of the night, I was proposing to the chat. I was like, what do you guys think? Do you think that we should keep playing this? Do you think that this is a game that you would want to keep in the rotation? Would you rather do something else? So it was funny because as I'm talking to people, people were like, oh, no, that's it. We've seen it. That's enough. I was like, really? I mean, there were very few people who were actually defending the game. They were like, nah, you know, in reality, here's what people are telling me now. So the viral popularity of the game has already died out. Like, after about, 3 weeks to a month of this game now being out, most of the memes and the viral stuff is gone. It's not even that popular anymore. Now, a ton of people bought it, so they're going to keep playing it. But in reality, it's just not that hot of a topic anymore. It was hot for a month. And it's kind of like what I always say. With these games that come out before big new releases or between big new releases, they get hype because there's literally nothing else going on. But then when something else comes out and happens, that's what gets the hype. It's this, what's the next new thing, right? So if you noticed in early of this year, there just wasn't a lot going on with games. And so when this game came out, it was almost like, oh, a surprise drop, a game that actually is unique and interesting and something that you could talk about, with your social circles. And it became the game to play for a while, but then other releases started coming out. You had Tekken, you had Like a Dragon, you had Helldivers, you had Suicide Squad, which of course everyone hates, but was the topic for a few days, right? And once those things started hitting, the attention got pulled away from PalWorld. And are there people still playing it? Yes, because millions of people bought into the fad of this game at launch, but now here we are a month later, and a lot of people are like, oh shit, like I'm not playing it anymore. There's nothing really to it. So that's really what happens, I feel. Now listen, they may very well update this game a ton, but this leads me into the second half of the reason why I don't think we should play PalWorld anymore. The Xbox version is dramatically behind the PC version. Like, the Xbox version has like almost no new features since I played it a month ago. It hasn't been updated that often. While apparently the PC version gets updates like every day. In the PC version, you can name your pals. In the PC version, the graphics are dramatically improved. All these new gameplay elements have been introduced that make it a lot more fun, while the Xbox version's essentially been the same exact game for a month with no improvements. So, to show the big difference between platforms, I mean, that's a huge difference. To have tons of missing features, people are telling me as I play, well, why aren't you doing this and this? I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And then you look, it's not in the game. They're playing the PC version, I'm not, and they're like, oh shit, I didn't know that wasn't in the console version. So it's kind of a big letdown, only because if in reality, if both versions were equal, perhaps the game would have been much better. Plus, they're talking crossplay and stuff. You'll never have crossplay in this game. If this is the situation, there's no way the versions can crossplay. They'll always be out of sync, you know? So it is disappointing in that regard. Perhaps if there had been active updates and things making it better or more interesting over the last month, there'd be more interest in the game. But it's the same game I played a month ago, and we've done everything, you know? So in my opinion, all right, it's a good game for a time waster. If you have Game Pass, check out PalWorld. But it's definitely not anything that's going to have much longevity, in my opinion. It's a game that is kind of an oddity because they got away with what they're getting away with, essentially stealing the Pokemon IP, right? But outside of that, it's just a survival game with Pokemon elements, and you'll see everything within 10 hours, and then it's kind of like, well, what's next? What's the point, right? There's no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There's no story in this game. So there's nothing to aspire to do. There's no reason to keep going because there's no ending. You understand? Now, they're talking about, oh, later on we're going to add in raids, and we're going to add in-game content, but none of it exists yet. So why are you going to go past the 10-hour mark when the entire game is exactly the same with no payoff at the end? You know what I mean? No, there's no story. PalWorld has no story. It's just survival and pal raising and catching and leveling. That's literally it. That's the loop. Survival, fighting pals, catching pals. Done. That's the whole game in a nutshell. So, let me put it this way. I'm happy that I played it because it was something that everyone was talking about, and I feel like if I hadn't played it, I would have been out of the loop and not understood what everyone was talking about, kind of missing out, and it wasn't bad for what it was. Plus, it was Game Pass, so it was no real loss or investment on my part. But man, after having played it last night, I was so bored. I would rather be playing anything else. I'd rather be playing more Yoshimitsu and Tekken, more Like a Dragon, so that way I could get further in that game. Any more Baldur's Gate. I'd rather be playing Sea of Stars. I'd rather be scratching my ass. You know, it's boring. So we kind of drew the line and said that's going to be it. All right. Now, what's funny about all this is, all right, last night someone actually sent me a very lengthy message. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to try to, like, summarize it. All right? But basically, what this person said, they sent me a big email. And in summary, here's what they said. They said, you said something the other day that resonated with me. And I'd like to emphasize this. They said, you had mentioned that on some of your streams, recently in particular, when you do your podcast and you're just hanging out with your audience, that people tend to come by and engage and contribute. And sometimes you'll boot the game up after. And you say, man, the rest of the stream is dead. Like, people disengage, people don't support. He says, well, maybe that's a sign. Maybe this is a sign that times are changing. That the days of being a full-time gamer and sitting around playing games all day are in the past. That people just don't care as much about that anymore. You know, there was a time when it didn't matter what game I played, people would come by and engage in support and love it. And now I think those days are past. That people would much rather have a social experience with me than just basically play any old game just to say there's a game on the screen. You know what I'm saying? So I guess the question is, right? Is that the case? I'm 41 years old. I'm going to be 42 in less than 2 months. You know, am I now reaching the time of my life where I'm older and the people who are coming by to my streams every day are coming by more to hang out with me than watch me play a game? Is that really the case? Maybe it is. Maybe that actually is what's going on now. And this is something that I've been saying for years was going to happen. I told you guys, listen, as I get older, all right, I know I'm not going to be able to play video games as much as I do now. I know I'm not going to be able to play at a high of a level. I can tell you right now, as I'm doing this with my hands, and I just do this little stretch exercise, all of the muscles in my right hand are incredibly tense right here, all in the joints, and have pain. It's carpal tunnel. And it's because I've been playing video games full time for 15 years. And I'm doing this right now. I've got tons of pain shooting through my pinky right now, right here. as the muscle extends, just doing this exercise. Because the human body is not meant to sit around playing video games all day. You know what I mean? As I get older, these things are going to happen. And I know I'm not going to be able to keep doing these full time like I've been doing for how long now. And so I've been telling you guys that this is why over the last several years I've been trying to more diversify my content. At one point it was literally I sit here all day playing video games and that's the footage I put out. And then after a while I was like, I don't want to just play video games. Let's do some vlogging. Let's do some this. Let's do some that. And that's how the whole idea of a morning podcast came about. Let's diversify and do something different. Let's just hang out. Let's have conversation. Let's talk about news. Let's talk about current events. Let's talk about upcoming games. Let's talk about whatever you guys have on your mind. Let's do this every day. Correct? And I'm happy to do that. I like doing that a ton. And a lot of you have come out and said, yeah, I literally only tune into your podcast these days. Unless there's a big game that I'm really interested in, I'm way more interested in you and your opinions and your discussion with us than I am about you just messing around with any old game, especially when it's games that I'm not too interested in. Yeah, and that's the difference. Back in the day, I was a big YouTuber, and anyone would always wanted to tune in no matter what I was playing. It was like an event to see Darkside Phil play a game. Today, it's not anymore. I'm a small-time guy. So a lot of people just pick and choose the games they want to watch, and me playing games full-time, half the time, it's kind of like I'm playing for myself, right? Let's be honest here. Do I have an audience for certain games? Yes, I do. But it's not a giant audience like it used to be. So maybe this is a sign. If literally I turn on my stream and I hang out with you guys for 2 hours on a podcast and everyone's engaged in having a good time and talking with me and supporting the podcast, and then I turn on a game and it's dead for the next 3 hours, is that a sign? Now, by the way, that's not what happens every day. I'm just saying, this is something that people have been observing recently, is that yeah, this is happening with certain games on and off. It's not every day, okay? And no, I have no plans to say, I'm just going to quit playing games. No, absolutely not. I'm a gamer at heart. It's my lifelong hobby. Way before it was ever a job for me. I would never just give up gaming. That's ridiculous. I'm not going to become Talkside Phil today, where all day all we do is talk about different topics. Hour 1, we do the podcast. Hour 2, it's politics hour. Hour 3, it's current events hour. Hour 4, it's drama and gossip hour. Hour 5, no, we're not doing that. Okay? But the point I'm making is that as I get older, that's probably the direction we're going. You understand? And I know what this is going to be. It's going to be a slow transition, but I feel like I've got to prepare everyone for that transition. For those out there who've only known Darkside Phil as an online YouTube gamer for the last 15 years, you have to understand that we're definitely moving in this other direction now. Okay? People are tuning in just to hang out with me and hear my opinions, not to see me play a video game all the time. Not to say that, again, that doesn't exist. It does. And people are excited for certain games and things, but it's not every game all the time, right? And when I find myself being faced with challenges and changes, right now, no exaggeration, this month, I'm down over $1,000 of revenue, and I haven't made any of it back. I was hoping maybe some people who had memberships and got a free one from this stupid membership exploit that these trolls are using would have said, all right, well, I normally would buy a membership for Phil from his channel to support him, and I got a free one, so I'm going to, do a super chat instead, or I'll tip instead. That hasn't happened, okay? It hasn't. And so because of that, I'm out of tons of revenue. And that's not my fault, and that's not your fault. That's YouTube's system being abused and YouTube being slow as shit to doing anything about it, as they always have been, okay? And then I boot up a game. Oh, let's play a game today. And the whole stream's dead. No one's paying attention. No one's talking. No support's coming in. This is a business I'm operating, okay? This is my livelihood. And as much as people who live in a fantasy world would like to say, oh, and Phil shouldn't eBay and Phil shouldn't bring any of this stuff up, that's because they live in a fucking fantasy world. They don't live in reality like us. They live in a place of rainbows, unicorns, sprinkles, pots of gold, dancing leprechauns, and shit that doesn't fucking exist, all right? In reality, I have to make a living doing this, okay? And I'm not asking for any more than what you guys have always done for me. I'm saying that now I'm at a significant loss, all right? And I'm faced with the reality that it looks like more people are tuning in and enjoying the content I do when I'm just talking with you than when I'm playing games. Not in all cases. If you're playing a high priority game or a game that's more challenging, you know what I mean? There are games that absolutely, the more hype behind them, people like that. But I feel like there's certain hype games that people will always come out and support. And then there's other games that are kind of like the games in between. And people are like, eh. And some people will show up and some people won't. Right? So I basically have to figure something out here. Like, what's the balance? What does this data tell me? Because, again, this is my business. I have to analyze this data in a very smart manner and professional manner. If I'm seeing that when I am doing shows, like, for example, the podcast, or, for example, the new Retro React stream, where it's just me reacting to my old gameplay and laughing, we're all laughing together, and I'm commentating at how bad that gameplay used to be. If that's doing better than me actually playing new games, there's obviously been a change, correct? And I'm trying to observe and acknowledge this change so that we can adapt for the better. I want to put out content that you want and that you will show up and support, all right? I don't want to be playing games all day, every day, and people telling me that now I'm a dinosaur because I'm just playing games all day. Right? I don't want this to be like it was 10 years ago when I wasn't doing direct capture. Well, at this point I was, but you know what I'm saying? Like the 2012, 2013 era. Didn't do direct capture, didn't do live streaming, was just doing the same thing every day, in and out, not innovating, not changing, not listening to feedback, and then falling way behind. Because the truth is, if in 2012 I had listened to all the feedback that I was getting, and I jumped on that movement, let's start live streaming, let's be interactive live streamers, let's change the content up, let's do direct capture, let's try new projects. If I had done that when I still had my popularity on YouTube, today things would be very different. I wouldn't have ended up being the whipping boy of the internet, right? This is how you don't play, making fun of me, Phil's the living meme that sucks at games and blah, blah, blah. None of that would happen. If I was smart enough back then to see the trends changing and roll with the suggestions you were giving me, I would have been in a much better position. But I didn't. I was obstinate and stubborn and stupid. And I acknowledge that today because it's a decade later and it's easy to look back and say, wow, I was so dumb. But back then I thought my shit didn't stink. I was like, oh, I'm the popular YouTuber, not you. I know better than you. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing because I like doing it. And I'm successful at doing it, so I'll just keep doing it and never change. And it didn't work. It ended up I had to change. And it was too little too late. And, you know, I fell behind the times. And I went from being Mr. Prominent on YouTube to the joke of YouTube, right? It's literally what happened. So today, when I'm seeing these new trends, okay, and I'm hearing these things about what you guys are saying and everything, I realize I need to listen to feedback, I need to observe the patterns, and I need to change with the times. So what does that mean? I don't know yet. I don't know. Like right now, on this very podcast, I have 464 viewers. When I start playing Baldur's Gate, we're going to have 200 viewers. Because people are going to leave. You know? Now, again, not to say this will happen with every game. Hot new games always get that attention at first, but then that attention dies out over time. Certain styles of games, like the ultra challenging games like Lies of P or a FromSoft style game, those usually retain viewers and interest for longer periods of time, right? But it really depends. It really depends because it's funny. Again, it used to be any game that I played would get interest. Now, not at all. You know, like a Dragon, it's very hard to retain interest. Even Tekken 8, which I've been telling you over the last week, I love Tekken 8. I think it's a great fighting game, and I'm actually doing really good at learning it at a fast pace and getting better. And it doesn't seem like there's many that care. And that's sad, because I really like it. And I think that I have potential to get much better at fighting games in the future if I apply myself the way I am now with the whole studying aspect and applying that. I mean, day one Yoshimitsu is ridiculous. Most people would look at that and be like, that's the first day he played that character? What? Seriously? Yeah. I never even touched him before. I didn't even know his moves until the night before when I watched videos. So doing that well, you know what I'm saying? Pretty cool, right? So, I would love feedback on this topic. Okay? Absolutely, positively, I would love feedback on this topic. I want to know, what it is that you like most about my content and what you want to see more of. And if you have a very strong opinion about something I'm doing right now that I shouldn't be doing, let me know. Or if you think something that you like that I'm doing and you want to see more of it, let me know. I want feedback on this because I want to be doing things that you want, especially at a time when I need to have people supporting the business. I do. Right now, I'm in big risk right now that if the trend doesn't pick up or change in the next 1 to 2 months, I'm going to be shit out of luck this year trying to afford everything because all the membership revenue is gone. And that was no exaggeration. Over $1,000 a month I was making on YouTube that is now literally gone. No one is paying for memberships anymore. Everyone got a free one. You see? So that's horrible. And that's something that I need to figure out. Okay? So let's talk about it. All right? Let's figure it out. And by the way, don't let the white noise of the troll idiots who come in, basically kill our intelligent discussion about this. Because I'm talking about people who are actually fans of me and my content, not people who come in, oh, your content sucks. Well, that's funny. That's hilarious. Ha, ha, ha. But that doesn't help. That's not constructive criticism, you fucking idiot. I want to know what it is that people do like about me because people do show up and do support at certain times. Why do you? What is it that you like that you want to see more of? This is what I want to hear. This is what I need to hear. All right? This is the constructive things I need. What is it that I should not be doing? Correct? What is it that I'm doing too much of that you don't like? Because maybe the days of me being the full-time gamer are done. Right? Maybe I do. Maybe I need to play way less games. And I need to start splitting my time between other projects and other efforts. I tried this last year with the React stuff, and you guys adamantly raged against that and said, no, you're doing too many reacts. You're doing full days of reacting to other YouTubers and their channels, documentaries and things like that. You're taking too much time away from the gaming. Don't do that. Do more gaming. So I went back. I literally went forward and went right back to the way it was because this is what people said they wanted. I was trying to give you what you want based on your feedback. But now it seems like that's not working anymore, right? I'm sitting here playing games and I'm actually losing viewers when I start to play the video game. That's not good. Obviously, there's something up with that, right? By the way, I'm going to try to fix the frame rate on my camera, which tanked for no good fucking reason. So let me just mess with my camera for a little bit here. Try to get the frame rate back. See, the frame rate's fine at 640. Well, I guess that's 480p. Here's a lower res widescreen. This is probably the resolution I'm going to be using tomorrow when I do co-op with my wife. That way we can do widescreen, but it'll not kill as many computer resources if I do this. Okay. Better now? Yeah. Yeah. A little better. It's still choppy. What's funny is I think it might just be my preview because when I was in the actual camera window, it looked better. Anyway. Yeah. I need to know what it is that you like the most. All right? And I want to know. I want to know what I need to do. And I know, here's the thing. I'm going to get a million suggestions. Okay? I know I am. And that's okay. I need to weigh and balance your input now and try to figure out what's the best thing to do for the future. All right? And if that means that this year somehow I dramatically change and shift if we need to, we could do that. I'm okay with that. All right? So let's see. Let's see what everyone's feedback is. I'm literally getting a ton of suggestions right now. No, don't stray too far from the fundamentals. Well, I like it when you're chilling and having fun playing a game because it's apparent when you're having fun. When you're raging, it's not fun. I turn the stream off. I prefer watching fighting game streams. We get to interact with you and help you out with combos, punishes, and other things. See, everyone has a different opinion. See? I've been telling you guys this for years. I'm a variety streamer, and because of that, there's a variety of people who check me out for various different reasons. There isn't like one thing people tune in the Dark Side Phil for. There's not. Other content creators, there are a lot of one-trick ponies out there where it's their shtick every day, the same fucking thing every day, all day. That's what people are there for. And hey, whatever floats your boat and whatever works for them, that's not me. I've always been a guy who's kind of, jack of all trades, master of none. But that's why people are always kind of hanging out because you never know what you're going to see, and people like different things. Some people might tune into this podcast and not give a crap about the gameplay. Some people might only turn on the stream when the podcast is over because they want to watch the gameplay, So anyway, today I really need your feedback because after PalWorld and then seeing what's happened in the last couple of weeks on the streams, seeing what's going on sadly with my lost revenue because of trolls, and also seeing the fact that I'm getting feedback like, hey, times are a-changing. Do you not notice more people are hanging out for the podcast, and a lot of people are supporting the podcast, and when you start the games, it dries up. I'm like, damn, I guess I see your point. So let's talk about that further. This is not me saying I'm immediately making any knee-jerk reaction changes. I just want to know what it actually is that you want, right? I don't think we need a longer podcast or anything like that. What I think is, if you want more talk, we can have more talk, but then we have to create shows and things that make sense. It can't just be the level 1 podcast all day, every day. That's not going to work. The podcast is already long enough, right? It is. What we need to do is, what are other things you'd like to see? If you really want talk or discussion more, then we should figure this out. Like, how do you do it better in a situation where, like, what shows do you want to see? Right? I don't know. This is what I mean. I would love your feedback on this. Okay? I don't know. It makes me worried. Here's why I'm worried. Because I love certain games. Like, for example, I really like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I knew I was going to. But that's not for my whole audience. That's for a small group of my audience, and I know that. But then, are you telling me that if for me to be successful in the future, I just have to ignore the games I like? Oh, just don't play the games you like anymore because, you don't get a big audience for them. Well, that's fucked up, no? Like, the whole point of me being a YouTuber was to show my passion for games with an audience, and when that resonated through, the success came later. Not, oh, you're just playing games that are big or that people are asking for just to make a paycheck. I don't want to do that. You understand? Like, that's not what I'm about. The day that this just becomes doing things to make money, I might as well be just as bad as all the others out there, right? Any means necessary, make the bag, do anything you can, fucking sell the fuck out, become a shill, become a fake, become a toxic person who just insults and bullies people all day for money. I don't want to do that. I want to be true to me, and I want to continue to resonate that commitment that I've always had with you, that I was going to be transparent, honest, a different kind of guy than all those people on the internet who are fakes. I'm not a fake. I never have been. I've always been. Why do you think I never accepted the big sponsorships? I never got in with the in crowd of gaming because I was never a fake. I was always honest, and a lot of those companies don't like that shit. They don't want people talking the truth about their stuff. They want people kissing ass. I've never been a kiss ass in my entire life. So let's talk about this. All right? This is the first of the discussions today, and we got to move on from this topic now because I have to do the schedule and shout-outs. But this is something that I think we need to talk about more and more and figure this out, because I don't want what happened over 10 years ago to happen again. I don't want to become Mr. Dinosaur, the guy who's no one cares about because he's an idiot who didn't listen to feedback. If the writing is on the wall that me just sitting around playing games all day doesn't work anymore, I want to change for the better. I tried last year with the React stuff, and the feedback I got was, no, don't do that. Go back to the gaming. So I did. But here we are only in February of 2024, and half the time that I'm playing games, people are telling me that it's not that interesting. Well, that's not good. Even the games I'm interested in, like Tekken, people are like, Like, well, that's not good. I want to know what you want me to do then. I need feedback on this, Okay. Anyway, now that the seed has been planted, all right, let's start this discussion seriously. In fact, I would love to see, because I'm sure people now are going to leave feedback on this video and overnight. I want the good feedback from people. And if your feedback is, oh, just change everything you are, completely change all of your content to be just like everyone else on YouTube, be a shill character who's a fake. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and no, I'm not doing that. I'd rather go out of business. So if it means I go out of business, I guess I go out of business. I'm going to be true to myself, but find a way to make content that people are going to want more. All right? So let's figure that out. Okay? Okay. All right. Let's do schedule for the week, and then let's do shout-outs, and that's probably going to be the show, because already it's past noon, okay? So, today, it is Baldur's Gate 3, continuing on with the Shar's Gauntlet, or whatever the hell it's called. And like I said, last night on my level 1, or excuse me, on my daily wrap, I really hope today's not just a bunch of boring puzzles. I don't want to fuck around with puzzles all day in Baldur's Gate. I want to play the game. And it seems like this game is intent on always presenting something new and daunting and, quite frankly, annoying to you. And I don't like that at all. I don't want to be annoyed today. I want to have fun with the game. And I told you, I was just hitting my stride the last couple of streams. I felt like I was comfortable. My characters were in a good enough build that I was having comfort in combat. And we were moving smoothly. And the last thing I want is now, this whole stream is going to become annoying cryptic puzzles where you got to fuck around and reload a million times. And it's like, I don't want to do that. That's not fun to me. And I hope that they didn't change the whole game in this area to think they thought they were ingenious when in reality they're just really fucking annoying and not ingenious at all, but stupid. I hope that's not the case. All right? We'll see what happens. I want to get through this Shars area. Hopefully we can pass this part and then get to a better part. Like, I was really liking the story at this part. I don't want to spend 4 hours in this dungeon doing stupid puzzles. I want to actually get to the story. You see? So let's see how it's going to go. And hopefully we get through this today so we can get back to advancement. Okay? Tonight's late stream is Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. We're on Dondoko Island, and we're in the tutorial. So my goal is to finish the tutorial and get back to the main land of Hawaii, because from what I'm going to understand, once you finish the Dondoko tutorial, but now when you're in Hawaii, you're going to be doing missions and encountering people who then will become guests on your resort. So if I don't go back to Hawaii and recruit new guests, all right, it's going to be basically kind of worthless to do Dondoko Island, because we're not going to be able to make enough money or get enough of the notoriety to have the island level up when I'm doing the co-op with my wife starting tomorrow. So the goal tonight, finish the Dondoko tutorial, get back to Hawaii, and start doing little side missions and recruiting people who could be guests, so that tomorrow when I play it with Kat, we have guests to invite. Okay? So let's see how that goes. All right? And go from there. But I think tonight should be a fun stream. Okay? Tomorrow, more Baldur's Gate 3, where hopefully we're done with this Shard's Gauntlet and on to the rest of the story of Act 2, because I like to finish it sooner rather than later. I want to get into Act 3 at this point. And then tomorrow night, yes, Wednesday night, Valentine's Day night, on the late stream at 6:45 p.m. Pacific time. It is my first ever cooperative gameplay stream with my wife, Kat. We're going to be doing Dondoko Island, which is the Animal Crossing game in Like a Dragon. And we already talked about it. I think she might actually play it. Like, she might use the controller to control it, because she knows more about how to lay out paths and build the buildings and do stuff like that. While we'll be making the decisions together. We'll be talking about, let's pick this building, let's pick this thing and build this. And then I'll be manning, like, the laptop here and interacting with all of you and reading questions and doing stuff there, while she kind of controls the ship in the game. You see? First time I'm actually using the new chair. Remember, I bought that chair like a month ago. So I have a new chair to sit and be comfy. And I think it's going to be fun. Again, I hope you'll come out and hang out with us. First time ever doing co-op. We've never done any co-op gameplay before at all. So this would be the first time ever to do it. And hopefully it'll be interesting, right? And different and fun. And if it goes well, we're planning on doing it more. In fact, probably about twice a week. Because for those who don't know, the Dondoko Island minigame in Like a Dragon is about 10 to 15 hours long. So if we're not doing it a good amount, there's no point in doing it, because I'll never finish it. I'll be further ahead in the game and not need it anymore, right? And the thing is, you kind of need the rewards. You get lots of money from doing it that you can then use in the game to level up your character weapons. So you can level up their weapons and equipment at the blacksmith. You can buy better weapons and equipment. You need that money that you earn from Dondoko Island to really progress in the main game. So we need to balance it so that basically I'm making the in-game money doing the minigame, and then I can apply that to my main playthrough. If I'm not doing enough Dondoko Island, I'm not going to have enough advancement to get anything out of it. You see? So, tomorrow night is the first stream of that. I'm off on Thursday from streaming. Friday, it'll be more Baldur's Gate 3 and Friday Night Fights, Tekken 8 with more Yoshimitsu. Saturday, my nose itches, sorry, more Baldur's Gate 3. Yes, I know this is a lot of Baldur's Gate 3, but it's because we're trying to make major advancement in the game before Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out at the end of the month. So more Baldur's Gate 3 on Saturday. Saturday night, another Dondoko co-op session with Kat. So that'll be the next one. As long as tomorrow night goes well, the next one will be Saturday night. Okay? Sunday, all day long, it's reacting stuff. Sunday day stream is DSP versus the Internet on DSP Reacts. And then Sunday night is the next Retro React stream on DSP Throwback. And you guys are currently voting on the poll. And right now, in a big lead, is Heavy Rain. It looks like you guys really want me to react to my original Heavy Rain playthrough from 2010, which I'm totally down for. I think that would be pretty funny and exciting, because I remember the beginning of the game is quite funny with the way that I commentated on it. So that'll be neat. It looks like Heavy Rain on Sunday. And then Monday, Tekken 8 is the daytime stream. Now, I don't know if that means I'll be doing more Yoshimitsu or mixing it up and going back to my other characters. I'm not sure yet. And then Monday night will be Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, the first stream of the story of the game after doing 2 co-op streams with my wife. I'll hopefully get rewarded for the 2 streams I did with her, and we'll get the money payout, and I'll be able to apply that to the main game and continue on there. And then Tuesday would be more Baldur's Gate 3 and more Dondoko Island co-op with Kat. And then Wednesday, Baldur's Gate 3 and Like a Dragon, and that's the week. Okay? So that means 2 Dondoko Island co-op streams next week and 2 Like a Dragon streams next week. And 4 Baldur's Gate streams next week. Okay? So it's a little something for everyone, and it's good progress. Again, I really want to get a good chunk into Act 3 in Baldur's Gate before we hit Final Fantasy VII at the end of the month on the 29th, which is why I'm playing so much in the short time that I have. I want to get that maximum advancement before we hit that bump, okay? Okay, so there you have it. It's time for shout-outs, guys. We're running out of time here. So let's get to shout-out, shall we? It's me did a super chat and says, your podcast helps me to fall asleep, thanks. Now, I don't know if that's intended to be sarcastic or not. You do realize that there are people who listen to podcasts just like this every single day as background noise. They absolutely do. There's people who subscribe to a playlist or whatever, and they just hit play, and they let it just play out as background noise. And that's fine. If that's what you enjoy doing, I'm glad that you get that out of the show. Or if you're insulting me, well, then you can kiss my ass. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. So, Veteran Court Cam is a troll who insulted me and says my content is boring. Well, then why are you here? If you find the content on the channel boring, perhaps you shouldn't be here doing a super chat. I mean, you're literally a moron. And then we have 672 who did a super chat and says, I've been saying it for years, Fan Night Fridays. I don't know what that means. What is Fan Night Fridays? I don't know. Because there's various ways you can take that. Oh, well, on Fridays, you do co-op gameplay or something with viewers. And I understand that, but you could do that in a game like Street Fighter 6, where we did lobbies of that or whatever. And it worked for a while, but then it got kind of boring. We did it for a few times, and it was like, nah. And then I played less Street Fighter 6, and it made more sense to focus just on the few times I played it a week, getting better at it, and getting to master level rather than kind of messing around casually with the viewers. But if you're saying like, do a night where all the members get to do something, can't do anything member related ever again. Seriously, because of the way that they destroy these memberships on YouTube, they're basically not, viable anymore for that kind of stuff. It would have to be a higher level of special membership. And I can tell you right now, if people are already getting a standard level membership for free every month, they're not going to pay a few dollars more to do something else for a Fan Night Friday or something like that. You know what I mean? So, but I don't even know what you mean. If you can elaborate on that, I would like to hear more about that, okay? All right, so tips side of things today. I got a $1 tip from someone saying, everyone's playing the Tomb Raider Master Collection today, including me, but you're skipping it. Can you care to give a reason why? Sure, it's the same reason I skipped Helldivers 2, and the same reason that I skipped Suicide Squad, and the same reason that I skipped Persona 3, and the same reason that I skipped Grand Blue Fantasy, and the same reason that I probably skipped 5 other games. Games are too long today, and so because of that, I can only play a certain amount of them. I can't be playing Tekken and Like a Dragon and Baldur's Gate 3 and doing React content while also playing the Tomb Raider collection. It just doesn't work. There's only one of me. There's only a certain amount of streaming time, so I have to pick and choose what I play. All right? There was no overwhelming call for me to play the Tomb Raider collection. In fact, again, what people seem to be misunderstanding about it is that it's not a remake. It's just they upgraded the graphics, and that's it. The game's going to play very archaic, like the originals actually did. I don't think it's going to... That collection is good for posterity. For those who've never played the originals and have no access to them, great. Here you go. But outside of that, those games are not super fun to play or anything. Like, I remember playing Tomb Raider 1. I owned it. And I thought it was good until you get to, like, the middle of the game, and then it's really tedious and annoying. The platforming is not good. It's really, and the combat gets very boring halfway through the game because it's more of the same. Just find better weapons or whatever, but it's just not that good. And the thing is, there's too many games out in a short period of time to play all of them. And this is what we're talking about, right? Seems like no matter what I do or what I play, you know, everyone tunes in for the first stream or two, and then they're bored, right? No one's going to stick around to see me play the Tomb Raider trilogy. Sorry, I just know it. It's not going to retain any kind of interest. So that's why I'm not too interested in it, okay? You know, gotta get further in the games I'm playing. Like I said, I want to get into Act 3 of Baldur's Gate. We're going to get the co-op going and get that advancing in Like a Dragon. Soon, Final Fantasy VII's right around the corner. That's the game everyone wants to see right now coming up. Like, that's the only game. You're seeing so much hype on social media for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and everything else is kind of like an afterthought. Like, that's the next big event in gaming is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, right? Okay. All right. So thank you for the tip, and I hope that the answer made sense. I received a $2.85 tip from an anonymous tipper. Thank you to $2.85 tipper, whoever you are. I appreciate that. There we go. I received a $2 tip. From Kirk. He says, to be blunt, all of your ideas so far are like switching deck chairs around to the Titanic. If you want to be popular, it's DS politics. There you go. They want DS politics. You want it. You want the politics. You're asking for the politics. Me in a big Uncle Sam hat pointing, I want you to watch DS politics, right? This is what people want. Oh my God. Anyway. No, it's funny because, no exaggeration, a political channel, there's so much, just this morning, there's a giant news story about politics that in the United States, and this is, I'm not going to give my opinion on it, I'm just going to give you an example. The Senate just passed a bill, all right, and this bill in the United States, they're calling it like, I think they're calling it like the Homeland Security Bill. The bill literally funds nothing about Homeland Security. It's about giving money for foreign wars. So we as taxpayers in the United States pay our taxes to have our country run by the government, and the government just wants to take those taxes and mail them overseas to other people instead of actually fixing things in the country with money. This is what the bill is. And they named it wrong so that people wouldn't know what it is. So you think, oh, they voted for a Homeland Security bill? Oh, that sounds good. And in reality, you read the bill, it has nothing to do with that. Okay? So this is what happened in politics this morning. Right? Now, that's not me giving my opinion on it. That's the story. That's the mainline news everywhere right now. Okay? So, just imagine. I turn on DS Politics today. Well, guess what, guys? We got a hot topic. Let's explore this bill in depth. Let's talk about what it really does. And let's talk about the politicians on both sides and what they're saying about it and how they're spinning it. And then let's go ahead and talk about what we think. This could be a whole day. This is the whole day of content for me. I don't have to do any work. There's a news story. Oh, here's my content for the day. You know what I mean? Do you understand this is how many people do this on YouTube? It's insane. There's a ridiculous amount of people, not just on YouTube, but everywhere. They're on fucking Facebook. They're on, what's the site? Rumble. Rumble's huge for politics. Like, this is all they do. And they just sit there talking this shit all day. And they get giant views and popularity and all this shit based off of it. It's ridiculous, right? So, anyway. I want to continue, but my nose is itching, and I feel like I'm about to sneeze. Give me a second here. Oh. Phew. Okay. Crisis averted. All right, so anyway, Kirk, opinion received and weighed, and thank you for your feedback. Let's continue. I received a $5 tip Let's see here. Oh my god, this is way too long. So basically, this person is saying a lot of people don't want to hear the same topics like the daily schedule, talking about YouTube monetization, hearing about things going wrong. They tune into a stream to unplug from their reality and the stresses of life because they just want to relax and have fun. And I get that. I totally get that. In fact, I rarely even talk about that stuff. Seriously, like, usually the podcast is the place where I would talk about that stuff. Oddly enough, the podcast is where I'm getting the most views, the most engagement, and the most support. So I understand what you're saying, correct? I do. Like, I totally get it. And I tend to agree with you that I need to do less of that, but at the very same time, okay, that seems to be what a lot of people are tuning in for and supporting. So I think what it is I have different audiences. You know what I'm saying? I just do. I have people who tune in who just want to hang out for gameplay. But then I have people who tune in and they actually want to have that level of discussion. And I have people who tune in for various reasons, right? So in your case, you may be someone who just wants to see me play a game. So you know what my recommendation is for that? And this is me being honest, and I hope you'll take it to heart. This is not me slamming anyone. Tune in at 12:45 p.m. Pacific time every day. Because by the time I'm starting with the game, I'm done with all these discussions. They're done. You don't have to be here for the podcast. Skip it. Come for the gameplay, which starts around 12:45 p.m. every day. Late streams, I don't really do this podcast segment. I do like maybe 10 minutes of hanging out with the audience, and then we get into the game. And the game usually starts around 7:15 p.m. Pacific time. So tune in at 12:45 p.m. or 7:15 p.m. Pacific time and just enjoy the gameplay portions of the streams. Rarely will you hear me bringing up these topics that you have issue with. But the problem is, if you're listening to the wrong people, like my detractors, you get complete misinformation. They'll say, all I do is bring it up all day. I don't. I purposely separate it out so that way you don't have to be bombarded with those topics when I'm playing the game. When I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3 today, do you think I'm going to be talking about this stuff? No. I'm going to talk about Baldur's Gate 3. So that's the point. That's why I actually started this podcast. Before it was even called a podcast, I called it the pre-stream, because I wanted to get these topics out of the way so once we start playing the game, we can focus on the game. Other content creators turn the stream on, within 5 minutes they're playing the game, and what are they talking about? 20 loads of bullshit, right? Good luck trying to watch that playthrough back later, because the first hour of their content is them shooting the shit small talk with their fucking audience and has nothing to do with the game. So how does that make sense? In reality, it doesn't, but it's just become a commonplace thing that everyone else does, so I guess that's how you're supposed to do it, right? I do it way more professional and organized, but I guess I do it wrong. Just don't tune into the podcast if you're not interested in those topics, you know? I feel like I already solved this problem ages ago. But maybe I didn't. I don't know. I'm just giving you my take on it because that's, you know, I feel like that wasn't an issue. For those who want to avoid this kind of discussion and topic, don't tune into the podcast. Just jump into the gameplay where I'm basically avoiding talking about those topics over and over, right? Continuing on. I got a $1 tip from Kirk. You would rather Putin take over Europe than total global domination. You are a psycho. We support Ukraine. Okay, this is you. I think you jumped the gun, Kirk. This is not DS politics. What you're saying is not something I'm going to discuss on the channel. I hate to tell you, you jumped the gun. Okay, thanks for the $1 tip there, Kirk. I received a generous $20 tip from Swagonito. Okay. It's election year. It's definitely a window to start up DS politics. I'd legit watch it and hear your opinions. Make it happen. DSP Otis. Oh, DS POTUS. Get it? Oh, no. Oh, no. the whole thing is, you have to understand that if I do political content, it's going to be the funniest political content you're ever going to see. Because I am not extreme either way, and that's the way to make money. To be totally right or totally left and say everyone else is a villain is how you make money doing it. Because you can immediately ridicule and villainize everyone on the other side and discredit everything they say, and you have this kind of like gang mentality where everyone has to be on your side if they're left or right. So you always have this endless audience. I'm not either side. I literally look at both sides and I fucking facepalm and laugh at how bad both sides are. Because being polarized in politics is like being a fucking idiot. It's like thinking the world is black and white, that there's superheroes and supervillains everywhere. There's none. That's not how life works. It's so different than that, but people want to simplify everything in life. It's so silly the way these people act. So anyway, yeah, it's really stupid. And in that regard, I don't know. Like I said, we're going to talk about it. We're going to think about it. I'm sure we're going to discuss more. I definitely want a lot of feedback. Please, everyone, give me your feedback in regards to all of these topics. I would love to hear your thoughts. Some people seem like they want me getting into politics sooner rather than later because it's election year and now's the year to do it. I mean, if we do that, here's the thing. If we do that, it's not going to be here. It ain't going to be on the Throwback channel, and it ain't going to be on DSP Reacts. I've got to do something new. That has to be its own entity out there somewhere where it's separate from all my other shit, so that way no one can be, oh my God, you see, it has to be different. I can't have political discourse inundating my other content, But I guess we're going to have to talk about it. Okay? Oh, I received a $25 tip from 1 Minute Man. This could be the toughest dungeon so far in the game. You're facing trials that can be completed with tedious trial and error or clever approach or circumvention. How are you supposed to know that? The game doesn't tell you, but it does. If you look and listen to clues, it wouldn't hurt to pick up the temple map by the entrance. There you go. So 1 Minute Man is saying there's a temple map by the entrance that I guess I missed. I thought I had seen it, but I didn't pick it up because I didn't think it did anything. I think I had seen it at on like a pedestal or something, correct? I think I recall that. But I don't think that it clicked that it would do anything if I picked it up. It didn't seem like it activated anything. So that's why I didn't grab it. Okay. Well, I guess we're going to have to work on this together. Like I said, I want to get through this and get back to like the main game story, because the story was actually getting quite good. And the fact that now the story has to go on like a hiatus to do a bunch of puzzles is kind of silly in my opinion. But again, I feel like the game developers felt they were like really clever in certain parts of the game. And for some people, maybe they are. Like if you're a huge D&D fan, maybe you think that this is going to be the most clever part of the game. But for someone like me who's just a casual enjoyer and just wants to get through it and see more story elements that are fun, I get the feeling today's going to be a very tedious day. Just saying. I guess we'll see. Jade, you're taking off? All right, I'll see you tonight for Like a Dragon, Jade. Sounds good. Jessica says, what's the best way to leave feedback? There's so many. You can email me, darksidephil@hotmail.com, if you have a lot of detailed stuff to say. If not, you can leave a comment on this video, and I read all comments and approve them for later, and that's how I get to see all your feedback a lot. I would say those are the two best ways. Either email me or leave a comment on a video, and that way I have some time to read it and really weigh it in. Like, for example, that was an email where I talked about someone said, hey, if you haven't noticed, a lot of the content today that most people are tuning into and supporting is not your gameplay. That was an email that I got. And a lot of the good suggestions I get are in video comments. So that's how I would suggest to do it. Okay. All right, guys, we've got a few more minutes here. If anyone has any questions, toss them my way. Okay. A lot of people saying I should set up a new suggestion box. I could do that. We're not going to do it now. It's too late. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see what you guys want to do. A late night podcast. Late night with DS Politics. Spider Dijon, I honestly don't know. He says, what do you think would benefit you? Less reacting, more gameplay, less gameplay? I don't know. I just don't know. At this point, like I said, I'm open to do anything. I just love hanging out with you guys. I don't care if we're talking about this. We talk about this all day. I don't look. So like a jelly egg. All right, we'll talk about that if you want. I don't care. I like hanging out with people and having social interaction and people getting meaning out of it. That's what I care about. You know, it doesn't matter if we do that through the medium of me playing a video game or talking on a podcast or doing else, reacting to content. It's all good. Is YouTube Premium good for my channel? Absolutely. YouTube Premium is outstanding. YouTube Premium, all right, number one, any time you're on someone's channel who has ads enabled on their content, whether it's on videos or streams, that person gets credit as if you watched all the ads even though you never did. And then in addition to that, you get a million benefits from it. Like, I love YouTube Premium. I only have it on one of my YouTube accounts, but that account I always have logged in, and that's what I watch all the videos on and everything. And it's super duper useful. It's so great. So I recommend, if you're a heavy user of YouTube, you got to get YouTube Premium. It's the only way to really enjoy the site, especially with all the intrusive ads that have popped up recently. Okay. Joel Loft says, don't do politics, but instead do things with audience interactivity. Engage the audience, involve the audience, even games if possible. Close the gap between yourself and the viewer. Why do I have a jelly egg? Because it's a hand exerciser. I told you, my hand's all messed up. And so this is a great way when my hand's not feeling good. You squeeze this, you get all the muscles flowing, all the blood flow, everything in there. That's what this is for. Grim River says, oh no, I lost my Book of the Dead. It was in my inventory in Baldur's Gate 3, now it's just missing. I wonder what happened. I don't remember what I did with my Book of the Dead. I think eventually I put it away? I think I did. I think I put it away. What's going on, Matt? How are you? Alright, I'm getting rid of this guy. He's obviously a troll. Get him the hell out of here. No plans to play Persona 3 right now. Maybe in the long term. There's too many RPGs going. There's too many RPGs coming out. I can't play endless RPGs, even though it seems like that's all that's coming out. So no, I'm not doing Persona. Too many fucking RPGs. They seriously need to start releasing more games that aren't RPGs at this point. There's too many of them. Hello, Amnesiac Aaron. How's it going? Carl did a super chat and said, after having a bad day, your stream chills me out. I'm glad to hear that, Carl. Thank you, Carl, for the super chat. Sorry I missed it. It was like 17 minutes ago. But I missed it when he did it, but I just caught it in my queue here. Awesome. I have no idea what the hell Unicorn Overload is. I never heard of that. Unicorn Overload. Good lord. Am I actually enjoying Baldur's Gate 3? I'll tell you this. The story has been good and getting better. And the combat has gotten better. But now, the game throws me a curveball with this puzzle dungeon. And it's like, ugh. I just was getting the hang of it. I was just getting into the swing of things and liking what I was doing. And so they have to change it now. And it seems like that's what they actively are trying to do. Like, every time you feel like I'm feeling more comfortable in the game and, oh, here comes a good momentum. Whenever the game's getting momentum, stifle the momentum with something. No, I want the momentum to continue. Stifle the momentum. No, stop that right now. Okay. Do I feel obligated to finish every last game that we play? No, I don't have to finish every last game that we play. I've told you guys that if I'm in the midst of a game that I'm not enjoying or it hits the wall and, you know, for whatever reason, I can quit it whenever I want. I have absolutely no influence from idiots who say things like, oh, he rage quit the game. No, fuck nut. I quit it because I wasn't having fun with it, and I'm not going to play stuff that people don't like. You're an idiot. Why would you force yourself to play something no one's interested in, right? Like with PalWorld, it was interesting at first. It's not anymore. I'm quitting it because we're not having fun with it anymore. Doesn't matter. Even if it was endless contributions coming in during it, if I didn't like it, I would still quit the game. Fuck not. But you're an idiot who just likes to say dumb shit, and I don't care about you. So, yeah. But the thing is, most of the games that we play, I like. Most of the games that I play, I pick and choose specifically because I like them. You know, there's some cases where there's games that maybe I don't know if I'm going to like them or not. And then when I play them, I do or don't. And then I continue to play them or I don't, right? Oh, really? Andrea says, people are massively over-exaggerating the supposed tediousness of this upcoming stuff. I hope you're right. Good. I hope we get through it all today. I hope by the end of today's stream, we're done with this and we can move on. And it's not just a big tedious roadblock. Because that would be good. Do I have a favorite indie game? Man, probably out of all the indie games I played over the years, you know, I think I'm going to go with Hades. I think Hades was this really unique combat loop that just addicted me, and I wanted to go back and keep using new weapons and experimenting with new runs and variations. The plot got better and better the further into the game you got. It was a chill, interactive atmosphere for when we played it. That was probably my favorite indie game of all time so far. Okay. Am I going to play Hades 2? Absolutely not. Because as you know, no one watches me play indie games. So I'm skipping it completely. Yes. 100% skip. I got a $2 tip from Kirk. Being probably the funniest man in the world, I know eventually you'll offend every group if you riff and joke long enough. You have nothing to lose, just saying. There you go. Thanks, Kirk. Ambulatory, you know I was kidding, right? I hope you know I was kidding about Hades too. Like I said, I love the first game so much, I'd be pretty stupid to not play the sequel, right? Did I play Resogun? I did not. I do not know. I've heard of the name Resogun, but I do not believe I've ever played it. It doesn't ring a bell when it comes to what the game is, so. Okay. Is it time to end the show? I feel like it is. I feel like we've gone on long enough. We've had a good conversation. We got a good topic started. I want your feedback. Please give me your feedback. Not on the hand exerciser that I'm showing you, but please give me your feedback on the future of the content that I put out. Am I playing too many games? Should I play less? Should I do more talking style content? Whatever the discussion may be, should I do more of that? Since it seems like when I do this content, I'm getting more viewers, more engagement, and more support. I've literally not started the game yet, and I'm at $58 in tips. Yesterday, I hadn't started Tekken yet, and I was at $50 in tips, and then all day, I think I got one tip and like one super chat playing Tekken. So what am I doing with my time? Right? Am I doing what you guys really want? Do I need to change my time? You know what I'm saying? Like, it may be time to change things up. And that's okay, but I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. That's why I need your feedback. Okay, not on this. Stop looking at this and thinking about this. Start thinking about the content, okay? Joeloff says, my point being, the podcast includes audience interactivity, people feeling involved. Joeloff, do you understand we could do that every day during the games, right? That's the point I'm making. Like, I'm playing PalWorld, and I'm looking at the stream, and everyone's ignoring it. I'm like, hey, guys, I'm here. I even said that. I was like, guys, I'm here. Let's talk. Let's chat. I can't make people engage. That's impossible. I can't make people want to talk. People have to come willing to talk. And I feel like people come at certain times. The podcast is one of them, right? And then other times, that PalWorld doesn't seem too interesting to me, so they won't show up for it, even though I'm saying the whole point of us doing the stream is the interactivity. You know, I can't make people... It was the difference was, when I played Minecraft, people came with that mindset. Wow, Minecraft tonight, we're going to have fun conversation while Phil builds something neat, right? It was just a different vibe. That is correct. DTF Steak Fry says, for a lot of games, you cannot interact with people in the audience like fighting in. Yes and no, you're right. During the matches, I can't. Between them, I can. And I'm always trying to ask for advice, especially with Tekken. A lot of times, I don't know what I'm doing. Like yesterday, I was constantly saying, hey, Can you help me with advice for what just happened? Why was I getting stuffed by the jab so much? What are your suggestions for things I can do? Because, man, it's frustrating me and I want to get better. And then people who know would give me advice. Like, oh, let me try that. Let me try that. You know, that's the good thing about it. Oh, let's see. I received a $10 tip. Dark Scale fills blue balls. Just tipped $10. Oh, boy. And he says, to be clear, you want us to help with the puzzles in the Gauntlet of Shar? Chat will go crazy when people give advice. Well, it's like anything. Let me try to see what I'm doing and try to figure it out. And if I'm failing at it and I'm not having a good time and I'm frustrated, I'll say, hey, guys, I just want to know what to do. Can you help me here? Because I don't know what the fuck's going on. You know. Don't just immediately say, okay, so for this puzzle, go right over here and hit this button. And then spin around 3 times, hop on one leg, you know, fart 3 in the general direction of this, and, you know, and then it's done. Solved. Don't do that. Don't spoil it before I've even had a chance to explore myself and try to mess around with it, okay? Okay. All right, are we good to go? All right. Let's end the show. Let's jump into Baldur's Gate. If you guys stick around for Baldur's Gate, that sure would be swell of you. Although I know many of you will probably take off and say you're not interested in Baldur's Gate. And if that's the case, that's fine as well. But I want to say thanks for everyone who tunes in. And please give me feedback on the topics we talked about today. Okay? Thank you all. Tomorrow, I'm sure we'll be talking about how things went in Baldur's Gate today with this Shar Gauntlet, as well as progress in Like a Dragon, any game news, and hopefully I'll get a lot of feedback based on what we just talked about, and I'll be able to discuss some of that on tomorrow's show. Okay, everyone? And also remember, tomorrow night, first ever co-op with my wife and I. That's going to be fun. I hope you'll tune into that, all right? Thank you all very much, and I hope to see you if you stick around for Baldur's Gate. But if not, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.